The Iran-Israel-US war has now entered its second month, and clearly there is no sign of it stopping anytime soon. On one side, the US is talking about negotiations, while on the other side, Iran is completely denying any ceasefire talks, which basically means Iran is in no mood to stop the war. And if you look at it from another side, the US has almost lost this war already. Why? Because it promised regime change in Iran, but that hasn't happened. So now it looks like the US is coming up with a new strategy, maybe to avoid global embarrassment. Yes, reports say that the US is now planning to invade Iran, but not in the way you might think. They are preparing for something called Ground Zero operation. So what is this operation? Will this operation try to take over Iran completely, or it will just target key locations? The real thing is, America is not planning a full occupation, it is preparing for a small targeted raids. And this becomes even more important because Iran has closed the Hormuz Strait, a route through which 20% of the world's oil passes. Because of this, oil prices have jumped from $65 to $116 per barrel. Now the Pentagon, that is America's defense headquarters, is planning limited raids in response. So which are those places? I'll tell you in this video, be with us. Hello, I'm Khatija and you're watching Deep Dive on Lokmat Times. Now before we move ahead with this story, do subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. So first, let's quickly understand what Ground Zero operation and Pentagon actually mean. So Ground Zero basically means the main target, the epicenter of attacks. In this war, that's Tehran, Iran's capital, where more than 700 US-Israeli airstrikes have already hit military sites and caused major damage. But here, Ground Zero operation doesn't mean a massive war beginning. It simply means limited ground raids planned by the Pentagon, not a full-scale invasion. And Pentagon, as you know, is the US Defense Department headquarters, a huge five-sided building in the Washington, D.C. that controls all military planning and troop movements. And now coming to the main point, the US Defense Department is planning small raids using special forces and infantry. The focus could be on Iran's Kharg Islands or coastal areas near the Hormuz Strait. Why? Because as this war enters its second month, Iran's move to close the Hormuz Strait has pushed oil prices up to $116 per barrel. In fact, Trump even said, maybe we take Kharg Island to restart shipping, but clearly said no full takeover. Iran, on the other hand, has responded very strongly. They have warned that they will set US troops on fire if they land. And now the important question, why isn't the US going for a full invasion? The answer is very simple, numbers don't support it. Which means before the war, the US had around 40,000 to 50,000 troops in the Middle East across different bases. Now they have added more power, over 120 aircraft including F-35 stealth fighters, F-22s and multiple warships. Recently, they have also deployed USS Tripoli, which is an amphibious assault ship, and USS Boxer with around 4,500 Marines, along with 2,000 troops from the 82nd Airborne Division for parachute operations. So in total, around 7,000 additional troops. But even when the analysts say this setup is only for quick strikes and exit, not for occupying a country like Iran. And now to give you context, in Iraq back in 2003, the US needed over 150,000 troops. Here, even if you add another 10,000 troops, the total comes to around 17,000. That's simply not enough for a country like Iran, which has tough terrain, strong defenses, and a much larger size. So clearly, this is more about pressure and shock tactics and not a full takeover. Now let's talk about those three powerful locations in Iran that the US is targeting for possible raids. First, it's Kharg Island. This is in the northern Gulf and handles about 90% of Iran's crude oil exports. The US Marines could land here using helicopters or sea routes, destroy oil facilities or temporarily secure the area to restart shipping. Trump has openly mentioned this option. Now second is Kharg Island. This lies in the Hormuz Strait and has an underground missile city used to block ships. The US has already targeted a desalination plant here. In a ground raid, paratroopers or Marines could try to destroy these missile systems. Third is uranium stock sites. Iran currently has around 450 kg of enriched uranium, which is close to bomb grade. A special operation here would aim to destroy or capture the stock, but this would be extremely risky as these sites are deep inside Iran. Now coming to Trump's signals, he has taken a very aggressive stance. Since February, he has increased military presence, approved strikes on key sites, and warned of targeting oil infrastructure if Iran doesn't back down. At the same time, he is also keeping the diplomacy option open through countries like Pakistan, saying we have options. Maybe we take islands and maybe not. So as of now, there is no final green signal for ground operations. It's more like pressure tactics. And what Iran is saying now. Iran's parliament speaker, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, has clearly warned that if US troops enter, our men or soldiers are ready to set them on fire and punish their allies. Tehran is calling these strikes war crimes and has said they will target any country that supports the US. So right now, the situation is extremely tense. The US is preparing for limited, high-impact strikes focused on oil routes and nuclear sites, but not a full invasion. So that was the deep dive. Now the big question is, will Trump actually take that final step? Or is this all just pressure to force Iran into negotiations? We'll have to wait and watch. Stay tuned and thanks for watching Lokmat Times.